So again, the TSX hitting another record high on the day. The S&P has reached another record high, despite that investigation into the U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. So how do we interpret this? Let's go to Brooke Thackray, research analyst at Global X, for some more insight. Brooke, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
How do you read this move by the S&P on the heels of the news about Powell?
Well, we're still looking at the financials being down, but some parts of the market being down. But overall, the market's rebounded a fair bit. I mean, the big concern is obviously the independence with the Federal Reserve, but the market's taking it in stride here. And, maybe they're saying, well, you know what? Yes, this is not a good thing, but perhaps this won't come to fruition. It's going to be very difficult for this to take place. And there's going to be a lot of pushback on it. I think this is more of a threat. And I think maybe that's the way the market's seeing this at this point. It's like Trump just trying to bully the Federal Reserve to say, look, I'm in control for the next person coming in and everybody else. So at this point, it's the market's sort of just taking it in stride, doesn't know what to do with it, and they're not really pushing the market down on that.
Okay. You think there is enough good reason then to shrug it off? Do you think it's fair to shrug it off this way? You mentioned you think it's just a threat.
I think in the end, I think there's going to be enough pushback. Will Powell get indicted? I don't know all the details of what the claims are around the renovations and all of that. I don't know. But it's going to be hard to really push that forward. The standard's going to be really high to actually indict Powell on something like that. So I'm not sure that this will actually proceed much further. There's a lot of talk and whatnot, but I think this might be just a scare tactic. And also the markets might be going, well, you know what? We like lower interest rates. They like certainty and stability, but they also like lower interest rates as well. So I think the market's just saying, well, we'll just wait and see at this point.
Okay. As you mentioned, financial still off, with Donald Trump talking about capping interest rates on credit cards. First, what would the fallout of that be? As you heard, some of the letters are saying that means a lot of people won't have the option of a credit card.
Yeah, I mean, the end result is not very good. You find that a lot of consumers will have their credit cards taken away from them very quickly because the credit card companies and the banks need to be compensated for that risk, of people not paying. So they have higher interest rates. That's the way it works. Now, we see them as being really high. Maybe they are too high. But take them down to 10%, that means the banks have to start really clamping down, which means they're taking money out of the system as well. And it's going to force consumers to go to other organizations such as payday loans, which are going to charge even higher interest rates. Or, there might be some online Klarna type of buy now, pay later options as well. But overall, this has a negative impact for everybody. This is not the way to do it. I'm surprised that they're actually trying to launch this far out from the midterm election, because this is really a midterm election type of thing. Look, I want to lower interest rates for everybody. And this is another one. I'm not sure this will actually get done. I mean, so January 20th is just around the corner. This isn't like the tariffs. Right now the Supreme Court's going to rule about the tariffs being legal or not, probably on Wednesday. But Trump was able to push those tariffs through to enact them, legal or not, because he controlled the borders and the ports and the border guards. In this case, it's the banks, and Congress needs to pass the law. So it's generally accepted that Trump doesn't have the power to just force the banks to do it. The banks don't work for the government, so he can't really force them. And they'd have to be doing this voluntarily at this point. So this is going to be a really interesting situation. I don't think this goes through at 10%. Maybe the banks come back and go, okay, we'll lower our rates a bit and come up with some other plans. But I don't see this one happening here. Okay, so you see this perhaps as the start of a negotiation. And we know Donald Trump likes to do that, come out big and then have the back and forth. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's the way I see it exactly. He wants the banks to come back and say, look, we'll give you something just to get off our backs here. But I think this is just a start. I don't think they're going to be 10%.
Okay, let's talk about Shopify for a moment. It's working to give consumers sort of AI on Google to be able to shop. So how will this work?
Yeah, so this is really an agentic experience. So this is, if you think about it, it's the beachhead to get the agentic experience, like an agent acting on your behalf. into the marketplace for consumers. And it's a great way to do it. It's just like when we go to tokenization, they'll probably do it with real estate first. There's some applications that make sense to start. And shopping makes sense to start with this type of approach. And so what they're trying to do is to try to create this experience where this agent really checks everything for you, applies coupon codes, compares prices, all the way to actually making the purchases. And this is a really interesting approach because it's a great approach for Google and for Shopify as well, because then they actually start to control more of that wallet through the agent, which is the byproduct of that. But they're trying to make this to be a fast, easy, efficient process for people checking out and provide them other value benefits, such as better comparisons with other products and prices.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much they pack on to a Google platform, because it'll change Google, right? Not just from a search engine, but to a buying platform and possibly so many other things.
Well, the world's moving towards some sort of digital money down the road, probably, and tokenization. And so these companies are all in a fight for it. And this might be the beachhead to do that, when you start to control some of that. And you want a piece of that pie and how consumers spend, and to be able to help control that spending. If you create the agent that does that, you're going to have some control. I mean, they're obviously not the ones behind putting out the money themselves or the tokens or whatever, but it does give them a more immersive experience into that world, and helps for them to prepare for the future for AI to be used in not only shopping, but other experiences as well down the road.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there, Brooke, but thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.